Can kids use credit cards? So in this video, I'm going to break down how you get your kids and at what age to use credit cards. And if they use them properly, exactly like I'm going to say on this little plan, they'll become millionaires, billionaires, and then you can really see the way that credit cards can be used as investment cards. So get a pen and paper. Parents, we have a lot to learn. Kids, get your parents right now. Pause the video, go get them, tell them to watch. So the three specific things I'm going to talk about is at what age can you get your kids credit cards? I'm going to talk about the difference between debit and credit use. Parents, I'm going to talk to you specifically because they're going to need you legally to do this. And the financial literacy, use, responsibility, and consequences of this is imperative. So get a pen and paper and all of you get together as a family. Let's begin. So number one, at what age can your kid get a credit card? Well, you got to be a legal adult. You have to be 18 years old. So what's interesting about most families, parents, and even kids, they don't know that there's options around it, and there are options around it. So in my book, Make Your Kids Millionaires, which you're all going to get, I talk about like how I very aggressively, the minute my kids were born, they work for the company. There's all sorts of legal strategies and ways to do that. They had Roth IRAs. You get them custodian accounts. Now, I just learned with the KYC and some of the banking laws that some banks in some states, it takes a little minute. I had one client, she went to 7 banks, I think, and they wouldn't do custodian accounts. They just said it's just too much hassle, so you're gonna have to find the right bank. Obviously, I like local small banks, and believe it or not, during the pandemic, credit unions have actually stepped up a game, and they've become more viable for families and specifically entrepreneurs. So for your kids, I want bank accounts. I want the typical banking and savings accounts set up right away. Now, through your bank, you can get a debit card. It's probably going to be in your name. You can let your child use it very appropriately. Here's the problem though, with debit cards, it's coming right out of your bank account. So what do you do with kids? Well, I would say around 12. And that's what I'm going to tell you. It's what I tell you in the book, no later than 14. You want to start showing your kids proper credit card use. So what does that mean between 12 and 18 or 14 and 18, whatever year you decide to do this? Well, that means parents, you are either going to get the credit card, and you're either going to make them an authorized user or you're going to get the credit card in your name, which then affects your credit, which means you have to be like very responsible and have a plan around this, but the kid can start using the credit card. So my kids had started using credit cards early in their teenage years, early. And they know they have a limit. Now, is there actually a limit on the card? Maybe, maybe not. Their knowledge limit is $200 to $300, and that depends on the month. There's some months where they need to buy an extra thing at school, or they need to buy a lunch, or they had a spur of the moment, field trip, and, they didn't pay in advance. And you want your kids to have access to capital. They don't want to be that person who has no money, and so many institutes and places don't take cash anymore. So how are you going to send your kid around safely getting things that they might need? And again, I put safety above all of it, which is the conversation you got to have. It can either be an authorized user, it can be yours. If it's a corporate card and you attach it, I'd be very careful. That was one of my little blunders I made early on with my son. I put him under our big American Express card, our corporate card, which was spending hundreds of thousands a month. But the kid, it kind of crashed his credit. It's a bad idea. So I'll be the first to tell you, I didn't do everything perfect, but I figured it all out, which is why I'm out here telling you, figure it out. So be careful with that. The other mistake I see a lot of you parents doing is you're putting them under your company card. I see this a lot with the Georgia Southern football team that we're doing a lot of work with, that the student athlete is still under their parents' credit card, whether it's a company card or a card. Once you're 18, you have to have your own. At the end of the video, I'm going to give you access to the video that we actually taught to the Georgia Southern football team about how to open an account at 18 years old, and that's your birthday present, man. That day, that morning, that kid's ready for it because you've been grooming them how to use a card. So call it $200 a month or $300 or whatever you've allocated, or it might just be $100. By the way, just a little extra on their phone for safety, put an Uber account on there. A lot of Ubers won't pick them up, but in a dire emergency, I've known it to happen, they can call a taxi. You've got to figure out how to get safety around your kids in this crazy day and age. Back to money. So when you do the limit, every month you're going to have to set up a money day. So when that statement comes, or you can print it offline, you have to make them go through it because kids don't see money. Most adults don't see money. Money's been wired here and ACH'd here, and you don't actually see, the old school ways to write checks and you actually paid bills. Once you set things on auto, you better be double checking them. I don't know how many instances. I mean, I had it happen to myself on my internet. For some reason, the card that it was automatically attached to glitched, and 3 or 4 months wasn't being paid and they were going to shut me off. Like, you have to pay attention. You have to pay attention. That was years ago. But those things happen to everybody that puts everything on auto and thinks life's just going to be grand. Every month you've got to have at least double check your auto pays and have your child go through. If they get to spend money, they should get receipts. And even though that's old school, you got to get that behavior. They have to notice that they're spending, they're going to need to pay. And then how you pay. If you pay it automatically, you pay from your account, you pay from your kid's account, you share. So if my daughter, who's 15, not 18 yet, she wants to buy things, she wants a gift for a friend for her birthday, or she wants to buy something that she wants, and that's going to be on hers. Then on that reconciliation day, she has to pay me, and then I'll do the auto pay, or we'll split the payments. She pays part from her account, I pay part from my account. You have to get them in the rhythm. I can promise you, if you don't, you will be sorry. Sharon Lechter tells the story all the time. Why family financial literacy is so critical is she didn't teach her son when he went off to college and came back. I don't remember the number, but it was in the tens of 20s of thousands of credit card debt during school. Because, the minute those kids are 18 years old, they're going to be bombarded. I know I kept track for quite a while with my son Logan, who's now almost 23. He had over 500 solicitations in a few years from everybody and their dog who wanted to give him a credit card at 18 years old. So if you aren't the responsible parent and teach them from 12 to 18 or 14 to 18, whatever you decide, you're sending them out into a very scary world to set their financial base. And typically it's a disaster. The only reason that people are scared of credit cards is they didn't know how to use them properly in the beginning. Parents, it's your job. You're going to have to take advantage of it. Now, parents, kids, if you're out there and your mom and dad won't do it, go to grandma and grandpa. Go to your aunt and uncle. You got to figure this out. You want to learn this and you want to be responsible. Make sure you pay those cards off every 30 days. If you have 2 or 3 cards, when they're under 18, they only need 1. This is just a teaching methodology. You're not giving them free reign of everything. But at 18, you start expanding. You minimum go to 2, if not 3. By 20, you want them at 3 and 4. And as they, are off into their own life, I want to move that up to like 5 to 7 cards. And then you never pay them off at one time. You strategically pay them off. Week 1, you pay card 1. Week 2, you pay card 2. And that's for those over 18. You got to set up a reconciliation day. Parents, you cannot get sloppy. You've got to have that day, whatever day it is. You sit down, you go through the statement, you go through the receipts, who pays what, and make sure the full payment. And then watch them get online to watch the cycle of money happen. You have to get them involved. So before I talk about some fun extra bonuses, I want you to subscribe to the channel. So anyone as young as 5, 6, for sure 8 years old can be watching this channel. Some of the topics are a little more sophisticated, but I'm here 5 days a week. So if they are parents, they're going to get to it. But wouldn't you rather raise a financially literate child, right? I wrote the book, Make Your Kids Millionaires. My partner, Kyle Beckman's an Air Force fighter pilot. Inside the book, it's very clear. This is how I, single mom, 2 kids, traveled the world, bought what I want, made the money to pay for it. A 25-year employee of the Air Force, did real estate, stock trading, and highly successful. Again, it's the tools that you teach your kids. So it wasn't about how we each did it. It's the range, and the message to you is pick a path and make a plan. But you have to have a path for you and your family, especially if you want generational wealth. You need those kids to be financially literate. So subscribe to our channel. Make sure you click that notification button. Be here 5 days a week. Share it with your family members. Share it with your friends. You're a sum of all that conversation. So instead of opinions, use this as your base conversation. So what'd you learn today? What are you going to do? Those are my 2 favorite questions to all my clients. What'd you learn and what are you going to do? Because you can learn it and do nothing. There's a lot of talkers. There's not a lot of walkers. So don't be those people. So in addition to the book that is out in stores, we're May 2022. We're hitting bestseller lists all over the place. We have something coming right behind it, which is going to be a bank. And it's going to be based on a lot of the principles of the book. Never pay your kids an allowance, how to actually divide things up, when you actually design your monthly income and say you're going to keep, be able to spend 60% of it, kids, and you put 30 into an investment savings account, maybe 10 to charity, whatever your rules are. There's 3 pipes to watch the money move. There's going to be a debit card associated. As you become a teenager, we are going to teach you credit cards. Eventually have credit cards. It won't launch with a credit card, but we will eventually have credit cards and then credit card and appropriate use. So get involved. We're super excited. What I want you to do right now is go to askloral.com. You can ask a question, you can make a request, and we're going to send out an application right after that. We're also going to send you an introductory app to what's called Gravystack. So it is the kids bank. It's not really kids. We're going to expand it into teens and young adults so we can use it for our student athletes, because all of you need to learn to make money and spend it right, and more importantly, invest it. So on the link, as soon as you fill out a quick application, ask us a question, we're going to send you a link to Gravystack to get on the pre-release, which is going to come out July 2022. And I'm going to give you iFlip. which is the investment portal for how do you do smart portfolios. So now you have the book, the bank, and the investment software. You're set. There's no reason you and your family cannot have financial literacy for the rest of your life. We're super excited about this. Share it with everyone. Schools aren't going to teach it, so don't use that as an excuse. They're not designed to teach it. Financial literacy is not like what the teachers know. This isn't just a theory book. This is a lifestyle, and you got to bring it into your family. So make sure you, again, subscribe. We'll be here tomorrow. We'll talk tomorrow. New topic.